Hello everyone, welcome to the daily news analysis of Next IAS. This is Varun. Today we will discuss 5 important articles from two newspapers, The Hindu and Indian Express. The first articles will be regarding our explained section for prelims. First article is about market tanks, then we will further discuss about mirror and reflection. After that we will further discuss about iron inside sun, and then we will discuss about 1997 ethics code. For our main section, that is decoded, we will discuss about future ready workforce. So let us start our discussion with the first article, that is market tanks. So this first article has come into our two newspapers, The Hindu and Indian Express. This article is very important in the backdrop that a lot of tariff has been imposed by US on various economies. In that context, the market has responded and they have tanked. In that context, these articles has been come into the newspaper. The relevance of this is in our GS3 paper, that is Mains paper GS3, effects of liberalization on the economy. So read it from that perspective. Let us try to understand how this article is relevant for our examination. Even in prelims examination, the trends which are upcoming or the concepts that if the market is responding in this manner, what will be the impact on world or what will be the impact on India? Let us try to understand this from the perspective of prelims as well as mains examination. So from this table itself, which it has been given in the newspaper, we can see that various markets has been responded in different manner. Like Nifty 50, it has also decreased by minus 4.33%. Even Sensex minus 3.79%, Hang Seng minus 14.55%. So this shows that how market has felt the impact of tariffs being imposed by various countries, especially US, and then retaliation from the China, and EU is also planning. So in this context, now let us try to understand what the news is about. So what has happened? Various markets has lost about $6.6 trillion in value over 2 days in the last week. In only 1 week and only for 2 days this has happened. $6.6 trillion market valuation has been wiped out. Global markets crashed with Nifty and Sensex India down by 5% itself. That is very huge, impactful impact of the tariffs being imposed. That's how market is responding, and further it will impact on our economy, which we will further see in various slides. Then biggest single day fall since June last year. So this fall in market, that is in Sensex or Nifty, has been largest since last June. Now what are the reasons behind this? Let us understand what are the reasons. So what happened? US President Donald Trump announced reciprocal tariffs, that he will impose tariffs on various countries, and this high tariffs has created carnage in the global economic order. China, in lieu of this tariff being imposed by US, announced retaliatory tariffs, and these retaliatory tariffs is again causing fear of trade war. Similarly, European Union is also planning to impose some retaliatory tariffs to respond what the President of US Donald Trump has done. Policies on reciprocal tariffs will lead to further recession and higher inflation in the US itself if such policies is being or such retaliatory measures has been done by other countries. Beside it, commodity prices of crude oil and several metals like gold, silver has seen been going downward or sliding, that is going downward south. These are the prime reasons of this market being tanked. Then what of the impact will be on world due to these things? So if the execution of tariff formula, Donald Trump has inaugurated and imposed various tariffs on various countries, there is no uniformity. So for execution of this tariff formula, there is a requirement that each country need a specific mechanism, and that will be a policy nightmare for those who are going to execute this because of differential rate. And US Trade Department would need to drop different rules of origin for each country, because there is a different, earlier what was happening due to WTO, global world order, there was a uniform tariff or there was no tariff, so there was no need for rule of origin from each country. For example, if the good is coming from China, they need to check that whether the imposed tariffs has been calculated or not, if it is coming from India, if it is coming from ASEAN. So for each block or each country, they need a special mechanism to check whether the rule of origin is being flouted or whether it is followed or not. Similarly, every country has its own political compulsions. Because why this is? Because economy does not work in isolation. There is politics behind also. So what will happen? The economies back at their home, they will be feeling the pressure of their citizens, their voters. So in that context, they will respond. There is an element of national pride involved, and something of this kind happen which would force some harsh response, and that harsh response will create much more global economic problem, leading to global trade war. Other countries can impose a large reciprocal tariff against American services. One thing we should remember, that America provides a lot of services. Its service export is very much significantly contributing into world economic order. And if other countries start imposing tariffs on services, America is imposing on goods or merchandise. If other countries retaliate by imposing tariffs on services, what will happen? It will harm, or it will again create a problem for US itself. Besides it, higher tariffs and trade war resulting higher inflation in US itself. Then runway deficits will be, like the fiscal deficit or the current account deficits will be high for some countries, and that will be a nightmare challenge for particularly those countries and their central banks. It will also, these runway deficits, even if it is happening in US, what will happen? The trust of foreign institutional investors will go down, and that will again harm those countries. That will again harm that investors will not have faith in US economy or US treasury bond, and that will lead to flood of investment, flood of capital. Beside it, Washington also has an advantage of having the global reserve currency and ability to live beyond its means. These things also, the credibility regarding global reserve currency of US dollar will also take hit, because the people will think US is not a credible country. This will also create problems. Every country will promote their own currency, and global world economic order will collapse. US Federal Reserve's decision to continue its rate cycle is highly dependent on the president which is in power, or the party which is in power. Its nature, its politics impact a lot of things which US Fed is going to do. Now, let us try to understand its impact on India also. This itself can be asked in prelims examination or mains examination itself. It can be given in statement form that these are the impact of US tariff or market going downward. What will be the impact on India? So, impact will be on inflation sector. High inflation, valuation of Indian currency can depreciate due to flood of capital, also due to high cost of imports, and these all things. Even if the tariffs are there, our export will be less competitive, and that will again create problem of current account deficit, and that's why valuation of currency will depreciate. Then investment and trade will also take hit. Investment, because of flow of money, the global economic order will be not having a certainty, will also again create a problem. Then GDP growth. GDP growth again will take a hit, especially some sectors, like there will be a threat of recession also. In unemployment, why? Exports will take hit due to the tariffs, and in that context, the competitiveness of various MSME sectors or even some large corporate houses will lose, and that will further create problem of unemployment, recession, GDP growth will take a hit. Besides it, some particular sectors like IT sector, automobile sector, through which India exports a lot, so that will also have a problem. Then there is a problem in remittances also. India gets a lot of remittances from US, also from Middle East. So those remittances will also take hit, because those economies will itself in a problem, and that's why the persons who are employed there will not be doing that great. So they will not be able to send money back home. Then there will also be impact on monetary and fiscal policy. For example, what should be the stance of RBI, how RBI looks into the evolving nature of this current crisis. So all these things will be impacted. So we have to be very careful in the context of India that these impacts will be there. Besides it, there are some positives for India also in this crisis. Remember always, every crisis is an opportunity also. So India has been hit with a lower tariff rate than others. Other peer members has been hit as per the article itself. Then oil prices and US yield have fall sharply. When oil prices fall, India always have an advantage because about 85% of our crude oil import is from other countries, like US is also one of those countries. Then goods exported to US are only 2% of India's GDP. That is not a very huge substantial amount of good. So yes, there will be impact, but that impact will not be significantly high. Beside it, government and RBI is always supportive. They are proactive in nature. Monetary policy and fiscal policy have a very proactive nature, just like what they did in COVID. So through that, they can cushion the impact which is going to happen. Beside it, the large cap stocks in our share market, large cap stocks have reasonably good valuation. So because their valuation is good, so they will be less impacted, and even retail investors can invest and hold these large caps. Beside it, what has happened yesterday, DFIIs, that is domestic fund investors, are on buying spree, as foreign institutional investors FIIs have sold a lot of shares yesterday in our stock market. Those are somehow bought by DIAs. So what is happening, these domestic funds are somewhat providing cushion to what is happening in the market. So market, if this cushion was not, what would happen? Maybe the market would have been tagged by 6%, 7%, 10%, but that has not been the case because of this positive thing. So that's why these are the positive things also happening for India, and this is how India also can manage. So let us try to understand what is the way forward for US. So one possibility is that the reverses in the American stock markets and pressure from his own supporters will lead to the US President Donald Trump to think about these things and take back or reduce some tariffs which he has imposed. Then there is also American president might indeed manage to get concessions from some countries because of this. For example, India is also one of the countries which is trying proactively to have a trade negotiations with US, so that the tariffs and these type of issues should be resolved, and in long term it will create a certainty for trade between two countries. Another possibility going forward is that US Congress should step in to take back the power which has been given to the president, the executive power. But the chances of this is very less, and first two may be the way forward for US also. For India, the way forward is follow the dharma of asset allocation. We are in oasis in the desert. There is a fierce sandstorm blowing in the desert. We cannot be immune to it. Always remember, this is maybe the just starting of the problem. So a storm is coming. Even we are not that much going to be impacted, but should prepare itself for the upcoming storm. That is, if this crisis goes into full-blown trade war, what will happen? It will impact India. Even the impact is not that much as anticipated, but we don't know. Large caps are fairly valued, mid and smalls are little expensive compared to historical coverages. So India should focus on these things, that those economic macro indicators which are already strengthened, it should focus on that. Beside it, India should focus and try to negotiate with US also for trade negotiation, and beside it also create a voice at WTO so that these issues can be resolved in a much sensible manner at global level. Now let us, through a practice question, try to understand which type of question can be asked on this particular topic. So consider the following markets: government bond market, call money market, treasury bill market, stock market. How many of the above are included in capital market? This is our humble request. Kindly mark your answer and your PS will review. There is another article regarding India-Bangladesh relation. This has come into our Hindu newspaper. The headline is "Days after Modi and Yunus meet, Dhaka sends High Commissioner to Delhi." This we have already explained in one of our DNA section in a very comprehensive manner on 18 Feb 2025. So kindly watch the episode and you will understand the nuances. Our next article is regarding mirror and reflection. So the backdrop of this article is the magic of a mirror. How is it able to show your reflection? This article has come into Hindu newspaper. It shows how mirror reflects light and how it forms the image. So this is important for prelims examination itself. In prelims examination, in the section of basic science, this can be asked. So try to understand it, and if the question comes, you will be definitely able to mark correct answer. Relevance is in our science and technology section. So first question is, what is a mirror? Mirror is actually a glass with a thin metal layer at the back. You have always seen, if there is a mirror like this, the back side is always polished or painted with a metal, and that's why it reflects when light falls. This is the light rays. When the light falls, it is being reflected due to this polished surface. So that's what a mirror is, and this is glass. Light passes through the glass, hits the metal and bounces back on our eyes and forms image on retina. This is how generally mirror works. Even in this diagram we can see that light is getting incident on the mirror, it is being reflected, and the reflected light is being able to form the image on our retina. And beside it, we can also have two important things, angle of incidence and angle of reflection, which can be seen in this diagram also, angle of incidence and angle of refraction. So this is how a mirror works. So there are other two types of reflection, like diffuse reflection and specular reflection. These are further more complicated. It is not required for the from the perspective of our prelims examination. Now let us try to understand some of the properties of our mirrors. First, like for plane mirror, what are its properties? It is flat surface, image formed is virtual, upright, and same size as object. So there can be a question in prelims examination match the following, like there will be a table on the left side, plane mirror, various types of mirror and their properties. So try to remember this, try to understand and remember this. Like flat surface, image is virtual, upright and same size as the object. Then second is convex mirror. So convex mirror is curved outward. Always remember, convex is curved outward. This is convex mirror. Always remember. Forms virtual image and diminished image. The image is diminished when it is formed. Then, and it always forms virtual image. Similarly, plane mirror also forms virtual and it is upright. Then concave mirror is there. It is curved inward. So this is concave mirror. Always remember, this is how concave mirror will look like. Okay, and then we have some primary property that mirror reflects light. This is basic property, and in curved mirror it forms both real or virtual image. Both type of images can be formed. Remember this. Then why do mirrors reflect? Let us try to understand why mirror reflect. First is principle of reflection of mirror. So it happens due to reflection of mirror. The law of reflection states that on reflection from a smooth surface, the angle of the reflected ray is equal to the angle of incident ray. This angle, in this diagram we can see that theta 1 is equal to theta 2. That is the law of reflection. Whenever a light or incident ray falls on a plane mirror, the angle of incidence and angle of reflection will be equal. Beside it, the reflection is also impacted by material which is being present, like whether there is a metal, whether there is a non-metal, whether there is a topographic metal. So metals like steel or aluminium, as they have free flowing electrons, so what will happen? It make them good conductors of electricity and heat. These unruly electrons also reflect light strongly. For example, if you can see, there is a polished steel surface. So what will happen? When the light rays fall, sun rays falls, they get reflected and we are able to see its image can be formed at somewhere. Similarly, insulators like glass or plastic, they have tightly bound electrons and they do not conduct electricity or reflect. Electrons help into reflection also. We have to remember this also. So, for example, if sun rays are falling on a plastic sheet, we have always observed, this is just a common observation by a common person also, it can be seen that the light is never reflected, and the reason is because the electrons are tightly bound in insulators. For topological materials, substances that behave like metals on the outside and insulators inside, there also reflection will happen. You should also remember what is topographical material. It is those materials which behave like metals on the outside, that is on the surfaces, and insulators inside, means they will not absorb heat, they will insulate the surface. Then some properties of light and reflection is there. For example, when light, which is an electromagnetic wave, light is always an electromagnetic wave, hits a surface. For example, this is a surface, this is light, and these are electrons. So when it is hitting the surface, electrons will respond. In case of metals, free electrons move together and bouncing light back. If it is metal, so what will happen? The light will be reflected because of the electrons being able to move. If it is insulators, electron move slightly within atoms and letting light pass through. So what will happen? This is insulator. If it is falling, so they will let that material should pass through it. That's why we see ourselves in a spoon but not clearly in the window glass. Window glass is insulator, spoon is a metal. So that's why we are able to see. It depends upon the level of transparency, the transparency and refraction, but still we are able to see that some portion of light is being passed through that, and a very little portion is being reflected. Let us try to understand some of the characteristics of light. Light has dual nature, that is wave as well as particle nature. Always remember, this can itself be asked like wave and particle. Wave, electromagnetic wave, and particles in form of photons. Light is itself a packet of photons. So in the form of photons, light comes from the sun to earth. In uniform medium, it always follows a straight path unless reflected, refracted or diffracted. Uniform medium is there, always remember. If the medium is non-uniform, then maybe it will reflect, it will refract or diffract. It depends upon the medium. In vacuum, what will happen? Its speed is about 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. We all know about this. Two or more light waves can combine to produce pattern of brightness and darkness. That will also remember. Light does not need a medium to travel. It can also travel in vacuum. Now, through a practice question, let us try to understand which type of question can be asked in the prelims examination. Consider the following phenomena. Light is affected by gravity. The universe is constantly expanding. Matter warps its surrounding space or time. Which of the above is or are the predictions of Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity often discussed in the media? So this is our humble request. Kindly mark your answer in our comment section, your PSL review. There is another article which has come into the newspaper regarding Waqf bill. So the article says that Waqf Act petition will be listed for hearing in due course, CGI has said. This we have explained in one of our explained section in DNA episode in a very comprehensive manner. You should definitely read this for this year prelims itself and mains examination. This is one of the topic which is too much in news and it is in controversy. There is a high probability that UPSC will ask the question. Now let us discuss the next article which is regarding iron and sun. So this article has come into the backdrop that iron inside sun is more opaque than expected. Some studies has been done and these studies are showing. So this article has come into the Hindu newspaper where these things are being shown. What is the relevance of this article? In mains examination, it is relevant for GS3 paper, awareness in the field of science. For prelims examination, it can be asked in prelims itself in the form of a statement based question, that whether iron is present or not, what is the composition, whether iron is opaque or not, what is the percentage of opacity. So these things can be in the statement form made asked. So let us try to understand about this particular topic. So the article says that light interaction happens. When light hits an iron object, it can't pass through because light is a opaque material. Instead, some of it absorbed and some of it is scattered. Iron has opacity. We don't know why iron inside the sun is so opaque. So all of us know that iron is opaque. Light will be reflected. When light falls on the iron, it will be, but the level of opacity varies, and in the sun, the iron which is present, opacity is too much. So why it is, the scientists were not able to understand. Iron objects availability has always been, and they are used for various purposes in our daily life, and that's why it is important and interesting to understand these things. The article also says that the understanding of sun or stars is very important to understand the galaxies. Sun, which is the star closest to earth, and thus one humans have studied the most. Stars are very important for understanding evolution of galaxies, Big Bang itself, and that's why in this context it is important to study star. and the closest one is Sun itself. So that's why humans have studied it in a much better way. Even we have two missions, like NASA has their Parker Solar Probe mission, whereas India has also its Aditya L1 mission. A lot of what we know or think we know about different kind of star comes from the study of Sun. But this is true on two levels. First, scientists have developed various theories to explain the Sun's properties. Besides it, second, Sun is just one kind of a star. There are various kinds of a star and Sun is one kind. Universe has many kinds. To understand these properties, scientists use the theories to build models that simulate them. So models are being used, models are being made because we cannot go to the stars and study them. So a lot of theoretical models are being developed, and through that model predictions has been done. Now let us try to understand something more about these things. Stars are called as the universe engines because we cannot understand the universe if we don't understand how stars work. Their mass deflects asteroids and comets. We all know that if a asteroid or comet is passing through any star, the gravitational force due to the mass of a star will either reflect it, deflect it, it depends upon the situation. Their flare energies nearby gas clouds and increase the formation of other stars. So it also, one star influences formation of other stars also. When a star dies, that is very important for us, especially for science and tech section of UPSC. When a star dies, depending upon its manner of death, it releases copious amount of metals and other elements. It leads to the formation of pulsars, it leads to the formation of dwarf star. So all these things depends upon the nature of death of a star. So that's why understanding its properties is very important. Even formation of black hole is dependent upon the stars. Now there has been some studies. Let us try to understand what are the findings of those studies. So mid 2010s reported that 30 to 50% less carbon is there in the sun, oxygen and nitrogen. These studies shows that what earlier it was predicted, but the studies in 2010 showed that there is 30 to 50% less carbon, oxygen and nitrogen beside what earlier it was predicted. There are some successful predictions like sun's current brightness and how many neutrinos nuclear fusion in the sun's core produces every second. So these are some of the recent predictions being done through these studies. Similarly, some study has been published in 2015 which disagreed that various models have various discrepancy. Each model is not saying same thing. So there are some discrepancies, and these latest study has shown that why these discrepancies are there could be resolved if the true mean opacity for the solar interior matter were roughly 15% higher than predicted. So this is the prediction of the recent study, that if the true nature of the opacity is being predicted, then it will help to reduce the discrepancies. How much energy and elements absorbed inside the star affect the star's temperature profile. This is also being predicted through the study. Then there are some other latest studies which reported that depending on the frequency of radiation striking it, iron opacity was found to be 30 to 400% higher than the predicted. So these studies are changing the understanding of sun or the stars. What is the crux of these findings? That models were underestimating iron's capacity. Now what is the conclusion of this article? So the team inferred that iron's opacity to the X-rays were not clearly predicted earlier, and it is more what earlier it used to be thought. The more strongly it dipped, the darker the shadow it would cast in the spectrometer reading. The ultimate approach to resolving model data discrepancy entails measuring iron opacity as function of time. That will help to end the discrepancies. Now through a practice question, let us try to understand which type of question can be asked on this particular topic. With reference to recent studies about the sun, consider the following statements. The sun is used as a model to understand other types of stars in the universe. Stars influence the formation of galaxies and the evolution of the universe. Recent studies have found that opacity of iron in the sun is lower than previously predicted. The discrepancy between solar models and data may be explained by a higher than expected opacity of elements like iron. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? So this is our humble request. Kindly mark your answers in our comment section and your PS will review. Our next article is regarding 1997 Ethics Code. So this article has come into the Indian Express newspaper, and the headline of the article is 1997 Ethics Code, which mentioned idea of Supreme Court judges declaring assets. The relevance of this article is in our governance paper GS2 as well as ethics paper. So the news has given 3 important points. First, the judges should declare their assets. All judges of Supreme Court, including the Chief Justice of India, should declare their assets voluntarily. Then there was also a news regarding currency note being discovered at the residence of Delhi High Court Judge Yashwant Verma. This was very much in news. In this background itself, the Supreme Court has said that all judges should proactively disclose. Then, unlike government officials and politicians, judges are not required to disclose assets publicly. So this is a problem also, that judges do not disclose assets. Now let us try to understand about this particular 1997 code. So the code's name is 1997 Restatement of Values of Judicial Life. This you should use to write answers in GS2 paper, in GS4 paper. Beside it, this itself can be asked as a prelims question, that what is 1997 Restatement of Values, or what is Bangalore Principle of Conduct, related to which sector or which body. So there itself they can frame a question regarding prelims examination. So first is document adoption. Document was adopted in 1997 by Honorable Supreme Court of India. It puts some ethical standards also, like lays down ethical standards and principle of judges of the Supreme Court and High Court. Then it also laid down an aim for judicial conduct by reinforcing impartiality, integrity and transparency. So these were the basics about this code. Then let us try to understand something about this code. So it focuses on public gaze and also reaffirm public faith. So it tries to create a balance between, so that each and everything should not be go through the eyes of public, but there should be some amount of materials or some amount of decisions or some amount of activity processes which should pass through the eyes of public, and it will ultimately lead to reaffirmation of faith of public. There are some key points about this code. For judges, avoid action that erodes people's faith, must not contest election or hold office in clubs, must avoid close association with individual members of the bar, family members cannot be permitted to use judge residence for professional work. It also must practice a degree of aloofness consistent with the dignity of his office. So there should be clear, if there is any conflict of interest, it should be avoided. Must not hear and decide cases where a family member or friend is involved. These are some of the basic principles which should be followed. Beside it, it must not publicly express views on political matters, and especially those are sub judice. It must list his judgment, his or her judgment, for example, if you are a judge, not through public opinion, not through media, rather through your judgment, one should give their opinion. Must not accept gifts or hospitality. It does not mean they should not accept gifts from their family members. That can be, for example, they also have a personal life, but beyond personal life they should not accept these things. Must not hear and decide matters involving a company in which the judge holds shares. That will lead to conflict of interest. Must not speculate in shares, stocks or other things, otherwise it will again create conflict of interest. Must not engage in any trade or business directly or indirectly, because there may be a chances that if these things will be done, there will be in future conflict of interest again will emerge. Should not seek any financial benefit concerned to his or her office. Must be conscious under the public gaze. They should always remember that they are under public scrutiny, so they should follow and behave in a particular manner. Some of other initiatives have also been taken, like Bangalore Principles of Judicial Conduct. This was also done to promote principles, values of impartiality, neutrality, integrity among judges, and this will ultimately lead to more faith of public in the judicial system. Similarly, there is in-house procedure, then there is in-house procedure for investigation also. So these things are already there, which is being done for promoting more faith and clearing any problem or any type of corruption in judicial system. For in-house procedure, there are some steps also, like it address judicial misconduct, it focus on filing of complaints, it also provide options for preliminary inquiry, then there is also some fact-finding committee. These all things are there for in-house procedure, so that if there is a wrong or if there is a problem inside judiciary itself, it can do the course correction by itself. Even before blowing up into the public, they can neutralize the impact, and that will lead to more faith of public in the judicial system. Now, through a practice question, let us try to understand which type of question can be asked. Consider the following statement: unlike government official and politicians, judges are not bound to publicly declare their assets. As per the Judges Inquiry Act 1968, the assets and liability of judges are not personal information for the purpose of RTI inquiry. Article 124 and Article 217 of the Constitution provides for the removal of judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts on grounds of proved misbehavior or incapacity. Which of the following statements is or are correct? So this is our humble request. Kindly mark your correct answer in our comment section. Your PS will review. Now we will discuss our mains article, which is regarding decoded section. So this article is about future ready workforce, that is about skilling of the future workforce. This article has come into the newspaper of Hindu in the backdrop of World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. So this report has been released, Future of Jobs report 2025 has been released by World Economic Forum, and QS World's Future Skill Index has also come, which contain critical insight into the state of India's workforce and its preparedness for the future. In this backdrop, we will discuss about this article. Relevances in our GS3 paper, mobilization of resources, growth, development and employment in the economy section. Now, let us try to understand through a PYQ that which type of question comes on this particular topic. Skill development programs have succeeded in increasing human resources supply to various sectors. In this context of the statement, analyze the linkages between education, skill and employment. This has come into the mains examination 2023. So this shows that how skilling is very important for our mains examination itself. Now, what we will cover in this particular section. So first we will discuss what is about the news, then we will discuss further about the current status of jobs and skills, then what are the responses of various like employers or government, then what is India's specific things which have been mentioned in this article and report. After that, what are the various challenges particularly regarding skilling, and then what is the way forward and what government schemes has been done by the government so that it will help India to achieve the transition of workforce and also being able to have a proactive skilled workforce. So let us try to understand what the news is. World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2024 and QS World Future Skill Index. These two things itself can be asked in prelims examination. So you should also remember these reports are released by, one is by World Economic Forum and another by QS. Offer a roadmap for the government and universities to address the pressing challenges and opportunity in shaping a future ready workforce. They offer a roadmap for the government and university to address the pressing challenges and opportunity in shaping a future ready workforce. This is what being there. Then there is current status, jobs and skills is also being given in the report itself. So let us try to understand what is the current status of jobs and skilling. Future of Jobs report highlight that forces driving global market right now are technological advancement, demographic shifts, geo-economic fragmentation, economic uncertainties and green transition. These are the factors, like technology is being developed, then there is demographic transition is happening, like country in India, even in developed countries aging is happening. Then geo-economic formation, like various blocks are being formed, like RCEP was there. Then global uncertainties like COVID-19, then green economy is being developed. So these are impacting global workforce. Technological change and digital access are anticipated to play a very crucial role. technology like AI, ML, these are the emerging technologies which are much more impacting. Even employers 50% expect economic factors such as job displacement to reshape industry. Beside it, some other things like climate change mitigation is also seen as a dual force which both creates jobs in renewable energy and environmental sector. We have already seen that green economy is impacting. Similarly, climate change, especially for mitigation, for adaptation, these are creating new opportunities as well as needs new skill. So for that purpose, there is a change and transformation in workforce nature is happening. These trends point to a dynamic labor market characterized by job creation and job displacement. So there is both happening, job creation as well as job displacement, both is happening. A data is also given like 170 million new jobs are being projected that it will be created, and similarly 92 million roles could be become obsolete. So this is going to be churning in the economic arena. There are some responses being in this context due to the change in nature of workforce, due to the emergence of technology, due to the climate change, due to the demographic transition, various responses has been done. Let us try to understand this. Employers are also responding how? By providing skilling or reskilling to their employees. So this is how they are incentivizing also their employees to get further more and more skills as per the availability or demand of the current scenario. Then various new emerging roles has been there like for data analytics, data scientists. These are the various emerging roles which has been created in the economic arena. There is also particular focus on integration of soft skills. So due to the more shift towards service oriented nature of the society and economy, there is further need of integration of soft skills like communication skills, presentation skills. These are being integrated also. Then continuous skilling has been the focus of government also. Governments throughout the globe also, we can observe this in India, they are focusing on skilling. Universities are focusing on skills being provided in such a manner that it should be in coherence with the requirement of industry. So there is a focus of academia industry linkage. Educational institutions, particularly higher ones, are also focusing on these. They are responding by updating their curriculum. Their curriculum must be updated in such a manner so that it should cater the demand of emerging economies, emerging sectors. For India specific, the report says that limited investment in research and development is causing a problem. So India should focus on and have a course correction regarding this thing. Performance in future oriented innovation and stability, sustainability is better in context of India. The report says that this particular segment is better. It identifies deficiency in fostering entrepreneurial and innovative mindset. So the report says that in the arena of entrepreneurship and innovation there is some problem, and India should fill those gaps to achieve success in this arena also. India is ranking globally, particularly regarding some form of adaptation of a specific skill. Beside it, the report says that stark gaps in workforce skills. There is still a stark gap. India excels in its ability, this is positive side, to identify and recruit for future focused skill. So that is also a good thing. So the report gives a mixed signal for India. It also provides some lessons that where India needs to work, and it also provides where India's strengths are there. Like it has future oriented innovation and sustainability is there. Entrepreneur mindset has deficiency, so that's a negative thing. Then there are various challenges, particularly regarding workforce transformation or making workforce ready for future skills due to lack of awareness, especially at the school level, especially at the college level. There is lack of awareness about vocational training, about emerging areas. Then perception and stigma, especially for example in India there is stigma particularly regarding vocational education. It is only thought that students who are not performing very good in their school, in mainstream school, they should be provided with vocational education. Then there is problem of lack of industry academia linkage. So what happens, academia has a curriculum, they are following that curriculum, but when the graduates are being passed from the colleges, industry feel that they are not properly trained or ready for the emerging challenges or the requirements of the industry itself. So there is a gapping between them. Even the internship is and various trainings which are being offered by industry is also not in sync with the requirement. So this is a problematic area in industry academia relation. Beside it, mobility and accessibility. Mobility, for example, mobility especially regarding mostly urban areas are having these type of skillings, these type of knowledge centers, and to reach there still there is a problem. Similarly, accessibility, for example, there is digital divide, there is gender divide in digital arena. So all these are again creating problem for skilling of the workforce. Funding and sustainability, even if some schemes are there, even sometimes corporate provides some support, but due to the funding issue that is not properly running, or after some time corporates withdraw it. There is quality of training also. There is the focus since last 10 years is too much on training, but the quality assurance is not that much good which it was thought. Relevance to industry needs, if there is training, whether it is relevant for the industry or not, that is still there is a gap. Infrastructure and resources, like infrastructure particularly regarding skill, for skilling they need various ITIs institutions. Beside it, various type of machines to be operated, capital is needed. So there is also mismatch or lack of funding in those areas. Beside it, the training in modern equipments which are latest in the market, there is also gap. Many a times what happens, they are being imported and the operators are unable to operate or run those because they lack particular skill. For example, in the CAD, computer aided things, CAD machines are there, numerical control machines are there, in robotics also, and many a times there is deficiency of operator to know how to operate those machines. The quality of trainer is also a question mark. Many a times what happens, the person who is going to train, they themselves are not up to dated what is happening or what is the requirement of current economy or current workforce requirements. So what should be the way forward for this? So to bridge the skills gap should be identified. First step is monitor, or first step is to identify the gaps. It should be identified in a manner so that once the gaps should be identified, then further work will be done, further policy formulation will be done. Educational institutions and government must adopt a multi-pronged approach. Higher education should emphasize on creativity, critical thinking, resilience, problem solving and entrepreneur's skills. So these are the areas on which higher education, similarly universities must embed this competency into the curriculum, the above things like creativity, critical thinking. Even National Education Policy 2020 has focused on these areas. So that should be brought up and a synced coherence policy should be formulated. Universities should also focus on experiential learnings, hackathons, startup incubators, design thinking workshops should also be organized, and it should be integrated in such a manner that academia and industry both should benefit from these things. Beside it, a green curriculum is also a requirement of the current economic situation to provide skills to the workforce regarding green sectors, like for example green mitras. Then there should be collaboration between private sector to bring the education industry gap and close those gap. They should collaborate in formulation of curriculum, post graduation internship training that will help not only academia but also industry. R&D will be much better. Faculties should also be focused. There should be comprehensive training program, because ultimately the responsibility to train and teach students depends on the faculty. Government should also bring some systemic reforms, particularly regarding to skill development, R&D investment. So these things will holistically help to prepare our workforce for the future requirements. Now there are some government schemes already running for this particular sector. Like for skill development, there is craftsman training scheme in which basic training is provided to craftsmen. Then there is national apprenticeship promotion scheme which is in collaboration with industries. There is Jan Shikshan Sansthan for vocational training again. Then Pradhan Mantri Kausal Vikas Yojana, that is a very important and flagship scheme for skill development, and this is run by Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Beside it, there is another some of the important schemes which are running for training, like NIAS BUD, that is National Institute for Entrepreneurship and Small Business Development. Then Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship, National Skill Training Institutes, SID Training Institute, training centers registered on the Skill India digital platform. So through a practice question, let us try to understand, and this will help also you to hone the answer writing skill on this topic. Emerging roles such as big data specialists and AI engineers are expected to see substantial growth. Highlight the need for a workforce equipped with advanced technical and cognitive skill. Discuss in context of Skill India mission. So in introduction, we can mention about the two reports which has been come into the newspaper. So in introduction, that will be an impactful intro that will create interest of the person who is going to evaluate the copy. In body, first write the roles, emerging roles of big data specialists and AI engineers. Okay. Then second part will be highlight need of. Then second part will be need of a workforce with technical and cognitive skills. As it is 15 mark question, we should also mention some of the challenges. Finally, in way forward, mention, and the challenges should be regarding Skill India mention, and way forward, in that we can mention some of the government schemes which has been done. In this manner, it will be a very good answer. Write it in a point format, use some presentation also, and kindly post it in our comment section. Your PS will review. At last, if you like our video, so kindly comment on it, watch it, like it, share it, and subscribe it. Thank you.